I was thinking so often, the point about educating is so necessary and important. And I think so often when we educate ourselves, we tend to turn to the people right in our sphere who we see. And we saw a lot of this after George Floyd was murdered. We heard, and I think probably both of us, I know I experienced myself, a lot of white folk coming to us saying how just people with a new awareness to them, turning to the closest Black person in their sphere to have discussions with them without properly vetting, is this a strong enough relationship where it is appropriate for me to come to this person and ask? And so I think the piece I wanted to kind of tease out here is, if people managers start looking at, start trying to educate themselves and like looking at our policies and our practices and how are we not seeing our Black women, Black employees, and need to see it differently, sometimes they'll turn to Black people on their team and ask for their input and perspective. And so I think I just wanted to say first, determine if that's appropriate. I think pause and determine if that's appropriate, because if you're a person in power, going to somebody who reports to you, asking for their opinion, it will take a lot of courage and a huge risk on their part to then give you that honest feedback, because it could put their job at risk. So it might not be appropriate to ask the people in your sphere. And I think the other point I just want to say and pull out, thinking about the invisible nature of Black women's work, is that if you were to turn and ask Black women for their input into help you educate yourself, they're then not recognized for that. They're not publicly recognized for it. They are not compensated for it. So it's again perpetuating the invisible labor of Black women in the attempt to educate oneself to support Black women. And so I think I just want to kind of tease that out, that part of this is seeing the person and making what has been invisible very visible.
Yes. Very good point. And that brings out, to clarify what I meant by that, is to not go to people on your team for this level of education and clarity. It is seek counsel, right? From groups like the Ladipo group, right? That will help support you with education and training. There's so many resources online that allow administration to go through their own educational process, right? I think of the, it jogs from my memory, Dr. Emily Ann Holt has started an organization or co-founded an organization that comes in that does mental health fitness for your organization as well, right? So there are so many resources out there that can really support you in educating yourself outside of your personnel, outside of your employees. The second word I was going to say, invisibility, is important for a person to educate themselves on. The second word that is core to Black women and Black people is safety. In what way does your organization address safety? Psychological safety, emotional safety, right? Within your teams, within your organizations. Because Black women need some special support from you, it is statistics. If you just look at any statistics of any organization, they're driven by numbers, right? Often. If you look at the people that are leaving your organization, one of the number one things that will come up, and I'm a therapist, so I hear it every day, right? I don't feel safe in my team. I don't feel safe with my supervisor. I don't feel safe. I don't feel seen.
Can you give some examples of what you mean and what you hear from your clients about not feeling safe? Because I think for people who have not had the experience of being the only,
yes,
or one of a few where it always feels like the only, if you haven't had that experience, it can be hard to understand what that's like and what not having that safety feels like. So can you just give some really concrete examples of how Black women don't feel psychologically safe in some workplaces.
Right. In number one, I think a key theme that I hear among Black women is that they are not seen. What does that look like? That looks like a person in a meeting that might give an idea or something that they've thought about, taken time to really add value to the team. And it's not taken as a valid idea, or someone says something exactly the same or similar, right? That could be a white person, and they are credited for that idea when it comes from a Black woman, right? And so you don't feel safe to be seen for your ideas, for the value that you're bringing to the team, for the work that you're putting in to really become a dynamic team member.
So your point of if you're not seen, you can't be safe, right?
Completely.